Hi, welcome back to another episode of Horses in the Stable with my guest, my inner child. How are you doing? We're healing. We're getting along. Well then, I had a dream the other the other day. I had a dream where there was a little kitten in my basement, and the kitten was lost and kind of scared and running around, and like I kind of like psychically let it know like, hey, I'm not gonna hurt you. And I was with other people, and this kitten came up to us, and it was a talking kitten. It was like a divine talking kitten that could understand us and could speak. And this kitten started asking people, or started talking to us, like me and a few people and I. And the kitten was like, "So, what's your name? Oh, what's your name?" And looked at me and was like, "God knows your name." And he was like, "Don't you think it's going to be fun going to the 5D with me together and evolving the consciousness of the entire humanity?" There were many people. The entire planet's consciousness is raising right now, and for the past 2,000 years, we've been in a state of amnesia. The entire humanity has been in a state of amnesia, where we've been living in a false 3D paradigm, and that false 3D paradigm is filled completely with fear, is based on trauma. And so the government who wants to control us psychologically controls us using fear tactics and psychological warfare in order to take advantage of the trauma that we had at the beginning of our life. And so because they know that our parents will traumatize us and other people will traumatize us, they're banking on that, right? They're banking on families being unhealthy. That's why they set up society being so that the fathers go away all day, get stressed out, come back, get angry, drink, and verbally abuse their kids or yell at them or something and cause trauma. And so they set up society so that the parents will be stressed out and that will take it out on their kids. They don't mean to, but they just do. And so they're banking on us being traumatized. And so because we're traumatized, they can trick us into believing certain things about ourselves, because you can brainwash someone when they're traumatized. All right, you can brainwash an entire population, and what they've been doing with the media and with a lot of things that they've been showing us in TV and in magazines and newspapers and wherever else, they've been doing predictive programming. And predictive programming is where they prepare us for an event that they're gonna do, so that our minds are already ready for it. That our minds are already ready for an event to happen, and then it happens. And then they create the event, create the trauma-inducing event that we're already predicted and accepting to happen. We're already accepting that something bad is going to happen. They make that bad thing come true, and then they get us to react. They predict how we're going to react because they already know how we're going to react, because they know that we're going to accept the event that's going to happen. So they know how we're going to react, and then they provide a solution for that event. And so there are certain events, like you look at The Simpsons, it's like predictive programming. It's like subconscious programming in like TV and movies and whatever else. Look at the movie Contagion. Look at all the zombie movies. Look at all the post-apocalyptic movies. They want us to create a timeline which is in line with their control system, and they want to kill all of humanity and make us their slaves forever and ever. And you don't even know what's happening. But there's a gospel. There's good news to this. And the good news is that, so the old paradigm is breaking down, right? The old system is breaking down. The old system of corruption and money and working to live. Whoever thought they would have to work to live? But that's what we're doing. That old system is breaking down, and then the earth itself is raising its consciousness. And there are different people different young people especially, uh, in this world, who are waking up to a truth beyond the illusory paradigm, that we've all been tricked into believing is true, the 3D paradigm, the matrix, the thought structure. So they get you to become fearful and then reject life outright, and not really live in it. And so in doing that, they get you to, instead of living presently in the moment, they know that if you are traumatized, you won't want to face your feelings, and nobody wants to talk about their feelings. That's the biggest thing is stigmatized mental illness. So they stigmatize mental illness. Nobody wants to talk about their stuff. And so nobody wants to face it. And so everybody's in their minds. They're not really in present reality, because when you're in present reality, when you're in the now, that's when all this stuff comes up. You notice how it's uncomfortable to sit presently? Because because when you're sitting presently in the now, that's when your karma is coming up and burning up, and it's when all your unconscious stuff is coming up. But if you stay in your head and stay in your mind and think about the past, or think about all the possibilities or the future, and just bullshit in your head, right? And live in the world as it's idealized. And the world as it's idealized is already programmed in your head. So you go to school for that, right? Society gives you words and concepts and numbers to create a program in your head, so that when you live solely through your mind, through your thinking mind, that's when you see the world for not how it is, not for the now, and when you sit in the now, you realize the world itself is amazing, is magical, is beyond words, right? So it's like everybody has the same mind, because we're all trained by the same society. There's the communist society, and then there's a capitalistic society, and then there's a monarchist society, and everybody has the same kind of mind, because all of our minds are fashioned in the same type of way, because we have a standardized curriculum for school, and we have a standardized curriculum for society, the things that we watch on TV, and then our beliefs and our words and the concepts behind our words. So we already got the mind down, right? That's the way we think. And so if our consciousness hides behind because it's traumatized and scared, and if you don't heal your inner child and talk to your inner child, however silly that may seem, say I will be with you forever. I will, because you will be. I will be with you forever. I love you. I'm so sorry this all happened. If you talk to your inner child and heal it, that's when your consciousness begins to come out, and you begin to experience the world for how it is, instead of for how it's idealized in your head. So if you if you hide your consciousness, if you make the mind the master, right? And if you see the world through the master, you see it for how you see the world through the mind, you see it for how it's idealized. And how it's idealized that's the ideal world. It's not how it is. You see things for how they're represented. But that's not what the world is. It's just the way it's represented in your mind. And so they're banking on that you just look at the world for how you think it is rather than for how it is. And they know it's human nature. They don't give you the opportunity to heal. That's why I dropped out of college, to heal. You never get the opportunity because you're always doing other stuff. You're always stressed, right? Ever since you're in school, ever since you go to college, and then thrown out into the world, you never get the chance to go heal. After COVID, the requests for retreats, the requests for spiritual retreats and mental health resource centers skyrocketed, because people figured they need this healing. They had the time to sit with themselves, and they were like, yeah, okay. I was able to have that foresight and see that I can't be participating in this capitalistic society, just working and always doing other things, because I'll get no chance to heal, and I'll literally go crazy, and then I'll become useless. And what point is in that? There's no point in doing that. So it's like, I'd rather have no money and no job than be a shell of a human being and have everything. So it's like, heal the inner child. Heal the inner child, always. uh, and seriously, they're banking on you rejecting your inner child. So a part of the mind program is to reject the inner child. And what does the inner child love? Magic, Disney movies, adventure, Godzilla, action figures, toys. It loves all of those things, right? But the mind, if you live through the mind, then they socially engineer a society. Very easy to do that. If you look straight through your mind, then you'll deny your inner child, and you'll be schismed. Talk about schizophrenia. You'll be schismed your entire life because you'll be denying your inner child, denying the essence of you, your real essence. We're all still the children that we were. You think we ever got the chance to really grow up? You really think we got that chance to really grow as a spirit, grow as a soul? No, we're still the toddlers we were when our parents screamed at us and traumatized us because they were stressed or had their own issues, and they put it on us. So it's like you got to understand that it's like we're still like the toddlers we were, except our bodies have grown and our minds have grown, and we think we're mature, but we're really not. So it's like, in order to have maturity, you got to become immature. It's like they say, like the kingdom of heaven, you become like a child again in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. You become like a child again. That's what finding God is about. And so the moments of biggest revelation come in the moments of biggest despair. And today, you get to the point where you're like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Nothing matters. You get to that point, and then that's when you're really free. When you can freely say, nothing matters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. And then that's when you surrender. That's when you stop fighting. And then I just realized in that moment that the life that we're living is no more than a dream. Is no more than the dream state that you go in when you're asleep at night. In that silence, in that now moment, where you're not thinking about what are people going to think, where you're not thinking, because when you think, you're going out of reality. But when you're in reality, you're in the present and you're in the now, and it's thoughtless. It's no think. Because a thing is a think. And then you realize this is, if you're still enough, you realize, you remember your dreams, and you're like, this life that we're living is oddly similar to the life that we live when we go to sleep at night. And the fact is it's actually true. Now, I'm gonna play a video. It's gonna really spark your interest. About this guy, he just mentions that fact. That this life is in fact a dream, and that you can create it just like you create when you lucid dream. When you wake up to the fact that you're in a dream, when you lucid dream, you can fly, and you can create the dream however you want to create it. It's the same thing with that. When you I love this video.
I failed all of my classes in high school and ended up dropping out.
Not me.
Round today, and we're going to do it very, very quickly. So
okay. Oh, preface. This takes faith, right? It's like what a preposterous idea. But it's the mind that has been programmed by the same society that wants to control you and that wants to put you in line. Like if everybody sees and operates through solely their mind, everybody's uniform. Everybody's the same. Nobody is different if they operate singly through their mind. But if they operate not through their mind, they make the mind the servant, because that's how it's supposed to be. And you just see through your consciousness, everybody's uniquely different. Just like every snowflake is unique. So it's like, but if you get people to think through their minds and think skeptically and cynically, then you can control them, because they control themselves, and they keep pushing down their inner child with wonder, the inner child that loves wonder and loves to find out new things about life. Your mind thinks you got it all figured out, but your mind is like the village idiot, basically, compared to consciousness. Consciousness, when you experience consciousness for how it is the most wise. It is like God compared to your stupid idiot up here, right? That causes you trouble all day. So it's like, when you all gotta take, it's like, get into like the now and like start like thinking, what if this life is actually a dream? What if it's my dream? What if I've been dreaming? What if and people who want control and want power will tell you that this life is real and that this life is in fact not a dream, in order to make you want to give up and feel hopeless about life, right? So that you're not a threat to them. So and it's like, also, when you realize that, when you live it, when you live the fact this life is a dream, you suddenly feel more awake. You suddenly feel more awake when you suddenly realize that this life itself is a dream, is still my dream. But when you don't know that it's your dream, then you feel asleep. It's like contradicting, right? When you think that life is real, you feel more asleep. But when you know that this life is actually a dream, you feel more awake. Because it's the truth. And you could always say that, oh, it's just a placebo that makes you feel better about yourself because it's a comforting idea, right? But experience goes beyond ideas. So it's like, it's also, if you can't like swallow that, it's like, it's just faith. Just like experiment. Like, why not experiment? Just like for the fun of it, and take the faith and say, maybe I'll try to understand that this life is a dream. Maybe it is. Who knows? We'll see. And you know what? I also found out that your unconscious mind, all the things that in your unconscious mind are what your life is being projected outwards into your life. Everything that is created in your life is your unconscious mind, is the components of your unconscious mind. All the events and all the happenings in your life. And your conscious mind is the thing just observing it and acting within it. But your life is so wise because it's showing you what you need to work on every single day. So it's like your unconscious that you might be pushing down is still being projected outwards. And so you see, in your life, you see your unconscious. So what does that mean? It means that your life is a dream. All right, so I'm gonna, just like the Kanye West song, it's like, this is a God dream, this is a God dream, we on an ultralight beam, we on an ultralight beam, this is a God dream, this is a God dream. Because it is. All right, I'm gonna play this video.
If you want to make notes, please feel free. And there's a couple of processes that I want you to go through. I'm going to ask you to write down certain things. So please be ready for that. In today's presentation, in this section, we're going to cover the following essential steps to the process of manifestation. And we're calling it instant manifestation, and I'll come back to that in a bit. But the process of manifestation follows some fairly regular, proven, and validated steps, and we're going to cover them very, very quickly. We're also going to cover how a simple change of thought can allow you to become a money magnet. And of course, everybody wants that. Even the people who are supposedly living a non-materialistic life need a certain amount of cash flow, and we're going to cover how to become a money magnet so you have all the cash flow that you need to cover your basic needs and or desires. We're also going to talk very quickly about programming your mind and your behavior to create success in real time, not in fantasy, but in real time. And then we're going to talk a little bit about eliminating limiting beliefs, and we're going to introduce you to a simple 5-minute exercise that will empower you to do that. And we're going to talk about why what you already know is your biggest liability, and why what you don't know yet and may actually never know is your best asset. And we're also going to talk about what to do right now, starting today, that will produce real life results starting immediately. All right.
Their advice.
Before we get started on this process, I want to say a couple of things about what we're calling here instant manifestation. Now, a lot of people are always, that I've been dealing with in the process of my life, I've been teaching people about empowerment principles and metaphysical principles and wealth creation, are always interested in learning how to make things come true for themselves. If they set an ideal, how do they make that ideal come true in their life? And that is the process of manifestation. You set an ideal, and then you work at having it show up in your life. And so, the key understanding that we need to come to when we're dealing with manifestation is that we are always, in every moment, every single moment of our lives, always manifesting instantly our current reality. Everything that you have in your life right now is being manifested in this moment. So you already are masters of instant manifestation. The thoughts that you held, the beliefs that you held and hold, the feelings that you express, the ideals that you hold on to, the intentions that you bring towards everything that you are and do in life result in what you have in your reality picture. And that's instant manifestation. You can at any time change that. A few days ago on Wednesday, we were having our question and answer period, and somebody asked a question about, can you use the process of lucid dreaming to influence how things turn out in real life, in day-to-day real life? And the answer is absolutely. It was a brilliant question, and here's the answer I'd like to give to that. And for those of you who don't know, lucid dreaming is the process of becoming conscious while you're sleeping of the fact that you're dreaming, and taking it one step further, because you are aware of the fact that you are dreaming and are interacting with that dream, you can actually influence how that dream turns out. You can even go back and replay things and have them turn out a different way if you want to. So lucid dreaming is a pretty good skill to grab onto, and it was Robert Monroe, who sadly is no longer with us, that in his explorations of inner space first really defined lucid dreaming and the process of going about how to do it. Okay, so in lucid dreaming, you become aware of the fact that you're dreaming. You're still dreaming, but you're aware and conscious of being in a dream. And then you learn to influence how that dream turns out. Well, the great understanding about that is, if you can really grasp this in down deep where it counts, is that your waking life, what you call reality, so your normal day-to-day walking around waking life, is also a dream. Right? All the metaphysical teachers, and even our modern scientists, especially the physicists, will tell you that everything is an illusion. It is a dream that we construct in our consciousness. So bringing that same ability that you have in lucid dreaming into the recognition that your waking world is also a lucid dream, you can influence directly, simply by decision, simply by free will, how that dream called reality turns out. Now, because we are creatures of habit, and we tend to believe that things will progress as they have progressed, we resist our ability to consciously and instantly manifest change in our life, but it is entirely possible to do so. So let's move into the first step in this process, how a simple change of thought will allow you to become a money magnet. And just before we do that, I'm going to show you kind of a neat little picture here. When I talk to people, often I talk to people about, they say, I want to be wealthy. I say, well, what does wealthy mean to you? And for those who are focused on money, they usually say, I want to become a millionaire. Now, they really don't have any conception of what it is to be a millionaire, or how much money $1 million is. So I wanted to show you this picture, which is a picture of $100 bills, okay, stacked up to become $1 million. And this is what it looks like, this slide right here. And the actual worth of this pile of paper.
If you want women to F with you, then you first need to know how to F with them. And by F.
Alright, and then, okay, yeah. So that's that. One sec. So yeah, this life itself is a dream, is your dream. It has always been. It will always be. I call this Foreverland, Forever World. This consciousness, this awareness that you have, this awareness that you have will go on forever and ever and does never end. It never ends as long as forever. Just like Albert Einstein once said, no energy is neither created nor destroyed. And in that sense, it's like your consciousness can never be created nor destroyed. It's always been, it always will be. And the fact is that your consciousness is the only consciousness. So understand this is the big part. Your consciousness is the only consciousness. Now, how can you see that practically? In your waking life, in your daily life, in your daily existence, whenever, what is the only consciousness that you have? What is the only consciousness that is in your own life? It's your consciousness. That's exactly how it is. So you can see like that the only consciousness is your consciousness. And that is esoterically true on a large scale, because you're not disconnected from the entire universe, but you are the entire universe. So there's no you to act in. It's not like, so we say like God does everything, right? God does it. No one does anything. God does everything. It's all God's will. Yes, it is. You don't do anything because there's no you in God to do anything. There's just God. Everything is God. That includes you. So there is no you in God to do anything in God. There is no you in the universe to do anything in the universe. It's only the universe doing it. It's like you're a wave in the ocean. The wave itself isn't separate from the ocean itself. The wave is a part of the ocean. It's just an aspect of the ocean. But if you want to define yourself as just the wave, where does the wave end? Where is the boundary of your skin? Where's the boundary of you? At your skin? Well, surely, I mean, there's no separation between you and the air. And then in the air, there's no separation. There's no separation anywhere. So you, as your boundary, does not end as far as the cosmos go, as far as the stars, as far as the moon, as far as the galaxies and the nebulae. That's still you. You don't end there. It's just this delineated form of vibration, because everything is vibration, that you define as you. So you're defining yourself as the wave in the ocean. But where is the boundary of that wave? If you want to define yourself as that one wave. So the wave itself, you are the wave, and the wave itself is the ocean too. So it's like there's no you in God to act. There's only God acting. And it's only if you think you're not God, then you make mistakes and you flumber and flabber. But if you know that you're God and that you're the same as it, and that you are, I mean, there's no separation. God doesn't exclude you from the family, right? It's like the entire universe doesn't exclude you from it. You are still an aspect of it. So you are the universe, literally, very literally. You are the universe, dreaming this dream, creating this vibration in order to experience all the experience. Because imagine if you were God, what would you do? If you were God, just sitting on his throne, doing nothing, just enjoying being God, what would you do in your free time? You would create different fantasies, and you would dream different dreams in order to just have fun, right? To experience all the possibilities, and that's what you're doing right now. And that's exactly what you forgot, because the fun is in forgetting. Because imagine you leave someone, you leave a relationship, and you love this person for a long time, and then you leave them, you guys break up, and then you spend a long period of time without each other, and then you meet up with this person again. The reunion is so much better because you had that space of time not with that person. It's just like the same thing, like you forget that you are it, and then you go a certain amount of time, being fearful and being like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Thinking that you're only this form, you're only this personality. But then when you remember, it's so much better. And like, that's the fun in it. Like remembering existence itself, because existence itself is the greatest thing. Because what's greater than existing? Than the existence. So there's only one consciousness ever, and that is all that exists. is the one consciousness. And are you not that one consciousness? If you exist at all, are you not that one consciousness? If you exist at all, are you where? If there's only one consciousness, right? And that one consciousness is what what exists, is what being is. Are you not that? You are that, and you have just forgot, right? You look at a ball. You know, this is the eye. This is the one consciousness that exists. And say there are trillions of filters looking, experiencing itself through different filters. And it goes through all sorts of adventures and thinking that it's only the filter, right? But then the filter starts to remember, oh wait, I am the same as the world that I exist in, because of course I am. How could I not be? And so it's only the illusion that has been passed down to us through means of control that has tricked us out of believing that we are the one consciousness that exists, and that there's nothing to worry about, that there's absolutely no problem with this life at all. And that's the key, is just realizing that there's no problem about it. There's no if all is God, and you are a part of God, then what is to worry about? If existence is at all, then it's good. If you are to exist at all, then it's good and beautiful. Existence wouldn't exist if it was meant to be horrible. So existence is supposed to be pleasurable and wonderful and majestic. Existence is not supposed to be horrible. It's only horrible when you are operating from a false sense of self, from a false identity. And that false identity is the personality that you believe that you are, because, clearly, like, there's space between me and everything else, and I seem to be only this human. I seem to be doing these things, right? I seem to be only this form. So you start to identify yourself with this form because everybody tells you who you are, especially like your close ones. So it's like you start to believe that you are only this form. But the truth is, you stop suffering. All the problems stem from the illusory sense of self that you think you're only this form. But you're actually the center. You're in the center of the universe because all points on the ball are the center. So you're always in the center of the universe. So you are the center of the universe looking through this lens, this consciousness, in this form, just playing as this form. And so all thoughts that life shouldn't be lived, that life is not worth living, that life is meaningless, and all negative feelings towards yourself are illusions. Everything negative that you could think about yourself is an illusion. And so once it's like you realize that, and it's like, wow, I actually have nothing to worry about. There's because all the reasons why I worry don't matter. Literally, none of the reasons why I worry matter because they're all fake. They're illusion. It's like the devil gives you impossible problems. So like, how could you figure yourself out on the basis of a false sense of identity? You couldn't. So it's like, how could you figure out an illusion, something that doesn't exist? And so as long as you try to figure out the illusion, something that doesn't exist, then you're just going to drive yourself crazy. But it's like you beat the devil in not playing. Because when you start playing, you start trying to figure out an illusion. But once you drop and say, wait a second, I'm not going to play this game anymore, you drop it, and then you realize there is nothing to figure out in the first place. Because you don't exist. There's no you in God to do. There's only God. Now you are a part of that God. And that's the greatest thing. Just remembering that you are all of existence, that you are the infinite nothing, that you are everything. Can you imagine? You are everything that exists? I mean, I can't imagine not being. Of course, I'm used to thinking that. I'm used to having that thought process in my head, but it's not true. It's not a real thought process. So it's like you watch the mind and you don't participate in it. You just watch it. Because the more you participate in the mind, the more you splash the waters. And you wonder why the waters are so rough and are so turbulent, because you're splashing them. But once you stop splashing the waters of the mind, you just leave it alone and watch it. Watch the waters calm on their own. Because you can never flatten water with a flat iron. Then there's peace, and then you realize who I thought I was isn't me. And that there's no thinker to the thoughts, but they're just thoughts. You realize that there's no thinker to the thoughts, but they're just thoughts, and you're just observing the thoughts. And thoughts are like magnetic, like energy waves that go out from your head. And thoughts like permeate, and you can, if you're sensitive, everyone picks up on everybody else's thoughts. It's just when you're sensitive, you're more aware that it's true, and you're more open to it. So it's like we pick up on different thoughts, different energy vibrations, and it's translated in the form of a thought. And then we think that we're thinking those thoughts, but it's not. We're just picking up on those thoughts in our brain and in our mind. So it's like those thoughts aren't real. Any thoughts about reality are not really reality itself. Because thoughts aren't reality. So it's like the way you think you are, the you that you think you are obviously doesn't exist, because it's the you that you think you are. It's the you in a thought form. So that doesn't exist. The right here exists. So obviously, the you that you think you are, the thought of you doesn't exist, right? And that's what you think you are. That's your ego. So it's like, don't worry. Like, it's like you are the greatest, as like by virtue of existing. By virtue of existing, you are the one God. You are the one consciousness that exists. It's like the purpose of religion. You can't just tell people you are God, right? Because they think I'm God. The ego me is God. The me that I think I am is God. Oh, you can't just tell people that. But so the purpose of religion, it's like, stay with God, stay with the Lord. The Lord will guide you. The Lord will guide you, because the Lord is the rest of you that you left. And when you came into this life to like incarnate, you left the Lord, and in leaving the Lord, in leaving yourself, right? Because the Lord is actually yourself. So in leaving the greater part of yourself, that's trauma. So you're traumatized. So it's like, you give in the Bible, it's like, all right, this is the guidebook to get back to myself. But it's not going to say, like, obviously they translated it to manipulate it, but what it's really saying is like, stay with yourself, stay with the one power source that is. So it'll keep you on track. So it'll keep you sane, because yourself, in the form of God, in the form of what is, guides you throughout life. So what God is really your higher self that you split off from, but you don't really split off from it. You just think you did. So the scriptures like really say, like, get back like with yourself. God is really yourself. And it's like, it's also this, you are God as well, right? But you are God that forgot God is God. So if you're watching this video, you're in the process of remembering what you are, right? So it's like, God is the part of you that knows everything. There's still the you that knows everything, that is always with you, and is everything, right? Because it's all around you. But you're just your consciousness is encapsulated in this body, and you might be confused if you operate solely from the mind. So it's like, you read this Bible, and it's also a code book. So there's a Bible code in the Bible that where if you read it, then it will code your brain to be righteous, to get with God, right? To get with yourself. So it's like, and if you connect with yourself, if you say, like, you shrivel up from reality because you're scared of it, you're not connected to the one power source, the one energy source that is. So if you disconnect yourself from the one power source, the one energy source, which is what we call the Lord, then what are you? Then you're nothing. But if you connect yourself to the Lord and you stay with the Lord, then you're connected to the one energy source, and then therefore the more powerful you become, and the more righteous you become, because you're in line with the one power source that is, and that is also you. So it's like when you're in the present, your higher self will like give you, and you're looking in the mirror, your higher self will like give you a glance. And what is that glance? That's your higher self. Consciously, the big consciousness that you are, that you just split off from. You really didn't. You just forgot that you are it. You just forgot. It still remembers and still knows, but is helping you get back to center, back to you. And the love that you lost is the love of yourself, the love of God, right? So that's the goal of life, is you come into this life forgetting. And it's like the adventure of going through, in this life in particular, the adventure of going through the illusion and going through the challenges and the tribulations and being confused and being scared, and then suddenly finding yourself again, and then going on that hero's journey, and then going through the trials and tribulations and facing your demons that you created when you were a kid and when you forgot, the demons that were actually created as virtue of separating, as the trauma of separating from yourself. So the demons were created in as virtue of the trauma of separating from the oneself, right? So it's like that in particular is the journey of this life, to get back to the self. And then once you get back to the self, it's like the greatest thing. It's like reuniting with your ultimate lover, the ultimate lover. Right? So it's like always, and it's, there's always gonna be thoughts that are gonna like say, oh no, like they try to divert you from getting back with yourself, right? Divert you from the one thing that you should do. So it's like, just let go of the thoughts, let them be thoughts, and just stay with the present. Because the present is where you're going to find your higher self, and the present is where you're going to find God, which is your higher self, which is the higher self, which is you. Before your life, I had the vision. It's like, before my life, it's just me, and I just like created this life, and I'm just doing it because I'm the only thing. Not me, not the Sam, but the one consciousness. And I am that. And I identified with that because I am that. Everybody is. So before you come into this life, it's like you're doing this life because you're just doing it. It's fun. Because you're the only one. What else? Eating a healthy diet will help you, because in that, your body is not resisting itself anymore, and it's easier to stay in the present. And your body, when it's experienced trauma, it's like it's in the mode of feeling as if there's a threat, when there's really not any threat. So it's like you can even talk to your body and say, there's no threat. There's no threat right now. You're safe. I love you. There's no threat at all. And then your body will come back to center and it'll help you, because you don't achieve enlightenment through necessarily like leaving the body, but it's like through the body. That's why you came into the body. It's like to use the body as a vehicle for enlightenment. And so I just hate the sick idea that our brains are chemically deficient, and some people are just retarded and some aren't. Some have anxiety, and just because I mean, the parents aren't to fault, no one's to fault. It's just because our brains are deficient. It's like that's pretty discourteous to God. I don't concede that God created a vessel that is not perfect. So it's like we've actually been tricked to misuse the body that we have and the mind that we have, so that we won't remember that We are the infinite self. So what can you hurt? What can you kill? It's like they control you through being afraid of death. So they say they make you scared of death by, like, you know, funeral parlors and graveyards, and give you all those spooky, crawly ideas like dead bodies. Oh, but like when you die, you're not going to be experiencing a dead body. So like that's not death. You're not going to be experiencing being underground. You're not going to be experiencing a graveyard. That's not death. Death is the complete letting go of everything. That's the ultimate orgasm. Like the French call it the orgasm is the little death, but then the big orgasm is death. So it's like, how could you be afraid of death? And it's like, even if there was nothingness, there would be no one in nothing to experience nothing. So it's like not being like in a black room forever, but that's only an image that they give you. But nothingness, imagine nothingness as what's behind your eyes. That's what death is. The complete letting go. The most amazing thing. So they control you by saying, making you afraid of death by social programming, and in doing that, they say, all right, if you don't follow what we say, you could be killed, or we'll kill you. If you don't follow what we say, we'll kill you, or you could be killed. And everybody's like, okay, please, I will do whatever you say. I'll work for you. I'll do whatever. I just don't want to die. Why don't you? Some people are, I know what it's like, so I can't say some people. It's like being afraid to live and then also being afraid to die. It's like, whoa, what a predicament. You know? And imagine also, this is a really profound thing, is that we know this. All you're experiencing right now is your brain. All you're experiencing is in your head. Flat in your head. Right there. In your head. Intimately. Right there. That's where God is too. Right there in your head. You never experience anything outside of your head. It's funny because everything in the external world, in the outside world, is in your head. Everything in the external world is all in all of our heads. None of us actually experience the external world for how it is. So how could any of us know what it is? What we all experience, the external world in our head. All right, so the external world is in our head, thanks to our senses. But then our head is also in the external world. So it's like our head is in the external world, but also the external world is in our head. It's like our head is in the external world, but also the external world is in our head. It comes back to the same point. That's how profound existence is, but we have been trained to think that existence is totally explainable, and it's just nothing, and it's just the way it is. And there's nothing to look forward to. There's nothing to wonder about. There's nothing to be curious about. Don't ask questions because you're smart. The real way they trick people is getting them to think that they're smart, getting them to think that they know it all. It's like an intellectual is like, a lot of intellectuals are can be like midgets with big ears or a big mouth. You know, they're spiritually like non-evolved, but they have a big mouth or big ears. So everybody looks at them. But that's how they control you, by making you think you know everything already. So you're smart. You know, you can work the machines and you can do the computers. You're smart, and we'll treat you like you're smart. We'll flatter you, right? We'll give you all sorts of goodies and gifts, and we'll make you feel so high end, but you're really not. So that's how they control you, by making you feel as if there's nothing else to gain because I have it all, right? But then you don't have it all because there's that still empty feeling inside of you. And what that empty feeling inside of you is the reuniting with yourself, with your greater self. Stay with the Lord. Remember the Lord. If you forget yourself, then what are you? Remember your life. You could say it like this: just remember your life. Stay in tune with your life. But what it really is it's your higher self that is looking down on you and is not judging you, but is always just, come on, I wish you would, like, if you're doing the wrong thing, it's just, I really wish, I'm going to help you. Your higher self never gives up on you, right? So it's like your higher self loves you so much, like so much. And it's like reuniting with that lover. It's like the greatest thing. And even just the moment with your divine self, with your divine lover, is the greatest thing. So, and you can figure that out. You can experience that when you can even like take psychedelics and then like look like and like talk to yourself on video. And like in doing that, or even talk to yourself in general, and in doing that, like your higher self can come through. They want you to know that. They want you to think that talking to yourself is a crazy thing, and that talking to yourself is the first sign of madness. But talking to yourself is actually sanity, because you're talking to yourself. And if you talk to yourself honestly, that's when you're talking to your higher self, and that's when you gain knowledge and intelligence and wisdom and strength and love, real love, not fake love, not egotistical love, but real love. The real love is with your higher self, what they call God. Your higher self, because you are everything. You just forgot that you are. And it's not like you can just remember like that. You got to go through a healing process. So your higher self is here, and this is just the fun of life, right? It's to forget, be traumatized, and of this life in particular, to forget and be traumatized, and then go through the adventure. It's all about the journey of healing and doing that process. And so a lot of us, including me, are and have been afraid of like going all the way. But I know a man who's talked about in the Bible who went all the way, and he fully reunited with his higher self, and he became holy. So and all the, like, look at saints. I see it like in religious paintings, a person with an aureole around their head, a halo, not a halo, but it's like an aureole, is someone who is holy, who's totally whole, reunited with their higher self, and knows that they are the higher self. They are the only self, that they are fully enlightened. That's an aureole. And when you're fully enlightened, you know that you are the only one. My God, what an experience, right? That's going all the way, letting go of everything. And so it's like, I'm sure you can just let go of everything and go for it. I'm sure, but for most of us, we can't just do that. I feel like that would be more traumatizing, So you got to like go through the healing process in order to like fully like ascend and heal your inner child who has been lost and who needs to be recovered, right? And who needs to be healed. So you talk to your inner child, you forgive your inner child, you love your inner child, you say you're sorry and everything, and you start talking to your inner child and you're cool with him, and then you guys build a relationship, and then you reunite. But you're never your true self unless you integrate your inner child. And only in this life, when we have been exposed to a fearful, illusory matrix paradigm that literally reptile aliens set up for us in order to control us, and then hired the humans in order to control us with psychological warfare, psychological means to confuse us. Babylon means confusion. We're in Babylon. Lady Liberty is really the Babylon statue. Only in this world do you leave your inner child behind, because it's so traumatized by the dirtiness and the horror in this world. It's like, my God, like it's terrifying being in this world. So for a child, so it's like, now that you're an adult and you know more, it's like you go back into yourself and you talk to your inner child and you say, it's okay, and I love you, I forgive you. You talk to them real. You don't expect anything out of them because you're talking to a child, right? You're talking to a real person, you're talking to yourself. So you You don't expect anything out of yourself. Like, oh, I love you, so come with me. It's like, that's neglect, that's abuse. It's like you have to build a relationship with your inner child and your higher self so that you can evolve. And that's it. It's like so fun to do, actually. It's like, so nothing else is more fun. Like no drinking or like partying is fun, but like this is the funnest thing to do, is to like build a relationship with your eternal lover and recover your inner child so that you literally meld with your inner child and you become whole, you become holy. That's the coolest thing. That's the most badass thing. And again, with all the thoughts, you just like watch the thoughts. They're not yours. They're not you, right? Because you're the infinite self. So it's like, they're not you. There's just thoughts. You just let them go. Just like rain. Just like clouds in the sky. You just watch them. You don't attach yourself to any thoughts, but because you don't, do you think first and then speak, or do you just speak? Do you have to think before you speak always? Or do you just speak? See, when you really fluidly speak, it just comes. Where does that come from? What is speaking? So you see, you don't think before you say every single word. So you don't, just in the same way, you don't have to like take a thought and observe it and say, what is this about? You just let go. It's not you. Your words and your emotions and who you are don't come from your thoughts. Unless you let them. Unless you let your thoughts be you. But you're not your thoughts. We can experiment to figure this whole thing out. Like, are you circulating your blood? Are you doing that? Are you beating your heart? Are you breathing? It's funny, you can voluntarily breathe, you can force your breath, you can heave your breath, but you're breathing anyways. You breathe on your own. And in the same way, do you really speak? Who speaks? Who is speaking right now? Do you control your speech? When in high school, I went through a process where I was like, how do I talk? Like, these are the thoughts I had. How do I talk? How do I talk? How do I initiate a word coming out of my mouth? Where is it coming from? I don't know how I do it. I don't know how I talk. How do I talk? How do you talk? How does it happen? It just comes. So who's doing it? Are you doing it? In the thinking, do you do all the thinking? I mean, you can, just like breathing, you can heave the thoughts. You can repeat thoughts in your head. You can echo them in your head because you want to. But like your thinking is both, can be voluntary, but is really almost always involuntary unless you voluntarily think. Your thoughts just come on your own. Your brain does its job anyways. You don't have to force any thoughts to happen. When you're observing the world, you're much more clear about it, and you're much more intelligent when you're not having to define and identify every single thing in it consciously, voluntarily. But your brain is a beautiful mechanism that just does it on its own. You don't have to use your brain. It just does it. Just in the same way, you don't have to use your heart. It just does it. So like, you're also, when you become enlightened, you have the experience of what's going on in here is also the same as going on out there. When you reach enlightenment, and if you've had the mystical experience, you know this, that what's going on in here is the same as what's going on out there. It's the same thing. It's just like everybody's a Buddha, but Buddhas are Buddhas that know they're Buddhas. But unenlightened people, unawakened people are Buddhas who do not know they're Buddhas. But Buddhas who know they're Buddhas are Buddhas. So like everything outside of you is happening instantaneously. All your unconscious, what you're experiencing right now is your unconscious. And your conscious mind is just watching it. And you can change your unconscious at any point. It's just knowing that this is your unconscious. I am here because this is my unconscious. Because I haven't moved on from this point yet. It's because a part of me has felt abandoned. And my unconscious wants safety in this situation, in this person, in this way of being. But yeah, so when you become enlightened, it's like everything harmonizes. Everything harmonizes. And you see synchronicity everywhere. Because everything is synchronicity. Because everything synchronizes. But when everything is synchronistic anyways. It's like the inner turmoil is synchronistic to what's going on out there. It's just, if you have so much inner turmoil, then you don't realize that it's synchronistic. But it's synchronistic nonetheless. And everything that is going on out there is the same as what's in here. You can see it in different ways. Because we're all just one. Because we're all just one consciousness. We're all just one. There's no separation between any of us. It's all just one. There's no me to be in the world, but there's just the world. There's no me to be in God. There's just God, and there's just God doing. So I am God doing. I just forgot. It's all one, right? And that's what you realize when you become enlightened. Is everything on the inside is the same as the outside. Also because the outside is in here. Like, imagine going all the way with that. That would flatten you. That would flatten your ego. Going all the way with that. Everything seemingly out here is in here. Is in my brain. I am experiencing my brain right now. And all of my unconscious thoughts about myself and beliefs. And everything. But quite literally, what's outside there is also in here. Imagine just knowing for a second that everything I experience is my brain. It's literally my brain. It's pretty safe. It feels pretty good. I mean, when you do it, when you really can just sit there and recognize it, we have the courage, right? To just, everything in here, everything I'm experiencing is literally my brain. It's now that's enlightenment for you. I just saw 3:33 on the clock. That's enlightenment for you. It can lead to enlightenment. But it's like we find ourselves resisting that because we still haven't healed all the parts of ourselves. But then once all the parts of ourselves are healed, then we'll find ourselves naturally just accepting it and becoming enlightened. So it's like a cool life we're living. It's a really cool life. And I'm just grateful to exist. I mean, how could I not? If I exist, how could I ever not existed? But I think that's the end of the transmission today. Comment down below what you would like to hear me talk about next.